Hey there, it's CJ Miller. I'm walking around downtown Shreveport, Louisiana. There's my apartments where I live and all this. And so, this whole area, way back in the long ago, was known. It's the area right before you get to an area called Allendale. It's called Ledbetter Heights, named for Huddie Ledbetter. And obviously, I don't remember those days, but another name for the area of town was the Bottoms. And I do remember when it was the Bottoms, and this was sort of the gateway to it. This one and one street over, but between the two buildings that make up the church, the Methodist church over there, there's a road called Sprague Street. So there was like a couple of, and it was kind of like the gateway to it. And oh boy, I was never one to shy away from I don't know, things that I should be cautionary about. I don't know. But basically, I'm just out having a nice walk. I was set to go to the gym tonight with a friend, but he had to do some other work after work or whatever, and he was like just tired, just didn't. He was like, whew, you know. So I was like, okay, we'll catch up. But let's see what else. Well, yeah, it's downtown Shreveport across the Red River from beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. I'm kind of on that fringe of downtown. And what am I walking up against? Travis Street, I think. You would say, yeah, let's see, I'll tell you in just a second. Louisiana, I think I'm about to cut over and walk up. I like to take like different routes sometimes when I'm out walking around. Yeah, nope. See, I totally suck. This is Fannin, and you should know, I should know this because I used to hang out up here. This is like people used to congregate right through here, late nights and everything. Especially, you know, people who I guess were of age but still weren't able to get into bars and clubs. So they would just kind of hang out there, you know. And I don't know. I don't know what's changed. I know that I've changed. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't party like that anymore. But yeah, back in the day, this whole area would have been lit up with people who were lit up. You know, that's going into that late '80s, early '90s. You know, and I think I noticed around the mid 1990s that I was kind of starting to, you know, they were starting to lay off of that. And I think it's because they first introduced casinos to downtown. Hang on. That's better, we can talk. So they introduced casinos to Shreveport on the riverfront. And part of it was, hey, you know, we need to clean up the area. The casinos wanted to have a kind of a clean image. You can come here, bring your family and eat. And then some of you can go to the casinos and game. Just don't take your children or whatever, you know, to that part. But and then hotels and things like that, you know. So, I don't know. End of an era. But it's Thursday, and by then the bars were closing at 2 a.m. So most of us would go to the bars, and then after 2 a.m. we'd either go to like some breakfast buffet at Shoney's before they closed down, health code violations, or maybe we'd drive the next town over, just over the other side, into East Texas, where the bars stayed open a lot later, especially on a Sunday, because the bars didn't open here. So I don't know. But yeah, if you wanted it, you were gonna find it. And of course, it's a lot smoother of a transition now. So, hang on. So anyway, I was coming up on an acquaintance, someone that I knew, and I wanted to say hi, but also didn't want to, it's like a whole behind me, a squad of, there you go. It's like the electric bicycle tour or something going on. It's really kind of cool. But yeah, I didn't want to, walk up on someone with my phone and have them captured on my video without their pre-approval or anything like that. I do know a lot of people that, from different walks of life, because that is the downtown area of Shreveport. There are a lot of people who live here. Some of them live a very posh life. Like, maybe, they own one of the buildings and their homes take up 2 or 3 floors or nearly the whole of this large building. So it's basically a mansion on the inside of what, what used to be a warehouse, or, just buildings turned into, lofts. Lovely little, there's a little bit of a secret thing going on in downtown Shreveport where you really just don't know how populous it is, but there are a lot of people down here. That's why one day I hope that we actually get a supermarket near downtown. That's the one thing a person who mostly travels on foot would love, would be a supermarket. I do okay though. You can get food delivered for a delivery fee, or from any of the supermarkets in town, or you just ride with people when they go to the store and stuff. It works out. I don't drive because even though I'm in my early 50s or whatever, I have bad vision, and I have for a long time. Primarily is the reason why I don't invest in my own car, my own, because me driving, not a good thing. Okay. I love this. I love that I discovered with this phone, I'll just up and the camera flips. And so I'm looking at forward instead of my face. And I thought about getting a group together to go see this Addams Family. But then it was like, I don't know. That would have to be like, let me see it with the right people. I can't just round up anybody to go see that. And to be honest with you, it's just not the right time. A lot of people are going through a lot of things, and that's not an appropriate topic. Now, they do have this is kind of cool, the new, I just happened to walk by this, and I like to do this once in a while, and it's good. So this is the new season. Betty Buckley is great. She's done a lot of Tony movie acting and everything like that. You'll know her most from a TV show in the 70s called 8 is Enough. And then, of course, in 1976, she played Mr. I can't say this name, Mr. Jardin, the gym teacher from the movie Carrie. She was a big part of that movie. And then she was in one of my favorite movies from the 80s called Wild Thing, which basically is about someone roaming the streets, kind of being a reluctant vigilante, or maybe not so reluctant. And she raised this boy that was victim of family murder, and he was orphaned from that and became Wild Thing. It's kind of cool. What the hell is it? Rattle Ramble and Roll Tours, Blackberry Smoke. I'll have to check them out. Looks a little foghorn leghornish. Tilt. Are we talking about pinball? No, it's a circus or something. Here? It's not that big of I don't know about that one. I'd almost rather see the Peking acrobats. So I guess we're doing that. We're doing circus and acrobats. Now, Hades Town, Helltown, right? Know about that. I have seen, that's not unknown to me, that name. The Choir of Man. You know, I think, I almost feel like Postmodern Jukebox. That sounds like some weird shit I'd get into. I think I'm going to enjoy this upcoming season, even though some of it's kind of a little, you know. Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. Why not Louisiana, right? Elfin Concert, probably the one thing I really wouldn't worry about. But, and the Music Man. Now this gets produced by the Performing Arts Center every few years. They've done it down the street at the church on Texas Street. The United, it's not United, the First Methodist, I don't know what the hell, it's a Methodist church. They recently had a rebranding because they parted ways because they didn't want to marry gay people or something. But that's, you know, whatever. So they changed the name and blah, 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 blah. Methodist people. They split every once in a while. They all love the Lord or whatever, but, you know, that's maybe kind of where it ends. But anyway, the Music Man. As a matter of fact, the Repertory Theater here locally did it twice that I know of. When I was in my late 20s, I auditioned and became a teen because I was like 28 and looked like I was 16. Truly. I mean, I'm slender now, right? Check this shit out. Whatever. Whatever. I need these glasses on my face. My eyes look tired. This camera, the definition is way too powerful. It makes me look a lot older than I actually do look. Don't tell me how to think about it. You know. And the Music Man. And so, yeah. And, yeah, I got cast. And it's a very big, huge dance sequences and everything like that. And I went to a few rehearsals. That was the first time I actually had to leave a play. Because, you know, and I feel bad about it. I did leave the play because I got sick. And I stayed home a few days, and then by that time I felt kind of a disconnect from the rest of the production. And so I just didn't go back. And I wasn't a principal player, so it's not like they weren't going to be able to just put somebody in the chorus and in the dance and do the things. But, you know, I wasn't even in the whole, I wasn't doing anything major. I was basically there just to fill out the set. I was basically part of the set. And my voice, you know, I could sing, but I didn't have any lead parts or anything, although I could have. You know. But, so I didn't leave the production out of spite. It was more like, by the way, this is a lot of work, and basically it's basically for nothing, because I'm not going to be missed one way or another, you know. It's like the equivalent of playing like a palm tree in your third grade production is what I was. So and that's when I learned to start taking better care of the roles that I chose. And so for the rest of my, and I wasn't 28, I think I was closer to like 25 or 26 or something. I do remember, yeah, had to be around 25. I did the audition before I moved out of the Sellers household. So that was, 25. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. The Sellers is a family that I worked for. The mother was semi-invalid, and the son was a great big pervert that chased me around the property for about 4.5 years. Even manipulating people within my family to try. It was just so weird. Sometimes you find yourself in a situation and you realize, oh my God, this is bullshit. It played out. Okay. So, yeah. But the Music Man. And so that's kind of cool. I really think I'm going to look a little bit at the Strand Theater. And, yeah, Betty Buckley is great. She does a lot of Broadway musicals. She was doing them in the 70s, and she's still doing them, and that's great. And she's selective in her movie roles. The last movie that I noticed her in, and she may have done some since, but do you remember that movie? It was from M. Night Shyamalan. I think the movie was Split. I think that was the name of it. And the lead character had like split personalities, and so they eventually in the sequels gave him the name the Horde, or at the end of the movie gave him the name the Horde, and he would. Oh, I'm nearby a train track. I'm so sorry. Hang on. Okay, I'll try to turn away from the direction of the train. Okay, so there is the Horde. It was a character, and he had a split personality, and Betty Buckley played the psychotherapist whose premise was that people with extreme psychosis, when they really, really believe into that delusion, that strength of that delusion can create changes within one's physical DNA even. And whether it's an actual change or a perceived change, I always figured that was kind of up for interpretation. Like, does this Horde actually believe he was the Horde, or did his body actually hulk out in the way that it did? So are we seeing what he perceives in his mind, or what really happened? I don't know. But anyway, and then the next movie was called Glass, and they kind of like rounded up and explained, yes, these are the real life versions of superhero, kind of toned down from what they would be, but blah blah blah, whatever. Anyway, but Betty Buckley wasn't in that one. But yeah, she's great, so I'm excited for that. I hope I get to make that one. I think that's just starting next month. I need to really see. There are so many things that I would like to see, kind of a little non-conventional. I normally won't want to go see something unless I just know it and love it. But some time ago, there was an issue where we were escorted to. I think it was during the Ben Folds concert. We were escorted to the wrong seats, even. Whatever, as I tried to explain or talk, and the usher took us to the wrong seat, and then halfway through the opening act, this big thing, because people whose seats we were at, whatever, big mix-up. So anyway, but when I brought it to the attention of the Strand, all the mix-up that had happened, they did the solid thing, and honored me with enough credits to go see another show. And then of course it was enough for me and 2 other people, and the only thing I was responsible for was maybe the taxes on those tickets or whatever. It was fun, but theater tickets are a little bit pricey. You don't want to spend that kind of money and then have your theater experience interrupted. Something else, when I go see a movie and I'm with people, I want those people to not be on their phone. If I'm within near proximity of someone and they're bringing up their phone and they're texting, or if you can't go to a movie theater and turn your fucking phone off and not communicate during the course of the movie, you're putting yourself above the group experience within that movie theater, and you're being unfair to everybody who's paid money to a ticket to see it. So I won't go see a movie with people without the other understanding that, hey, play around with your phone and everything, but when the lights go down, the phone's got to go off. You got to turn that phone off. Got to turn it down. Don't be text messaging sitting right next to me, because we will not be seeing any more movies in a theater like that. No, I don't care. There's nothing going on in the world that's going to justify my spending probably $50 by the time we get in and do our snacks and stuff like that. I don't spend that kind of money to get taken away into the fantasy of a story, of something that I really want to see, and then because you have to communicate with somebody else on a text message, and this is just anybody, because you want to pull out the phone and text during the movie and stuff. I'm not spending my money to bring anyone else to a movie theater unless there's an understanding that they're going to turn that phone off. The next big movie I really want to go see probably will be next month. I'm not going to be in a rush to see a movie, but I will go see the Superman movie. And I'm contemplating, because I'm seeing some good things. Early on, there were some issues with the movie, some of the promo stuff, and I think maybe they decided to, I think James Gunn has even decided that one thing within the promo, the trailer or whatever, where they're showing like Superman taking off and his face is all warped and wide looking, you know what I mean? It looks stupid. That particular angle, it looks stupid. And apparently the last write-up that I saw about it said that he didn't notice it because he didn't pre-screen the commercial or the trailer or whatever, or the TV spot. But of course, at the time, I remember him offering just a word of, hey, this is what happens when you're using this particular type of trifocal lens, and it's just par for the course. And it's like, nah, bruh. It looked, that Justice League movie, that the theatrical run, where Henry Cavill had the mustache during the reshoots, and most of his scenes in that movie happened to have been done from the reshoots. So he had this CGI mouth that looks like a Forrest Gump president trying to talk to Forrest Gump, and it wasn't even, that was kind of the effect that I was getting. This scene is maybe going to take me away from, so maybe I'll see it at standard. But I think what I've been reading and what I've been checking out about post-production is that a lot of concerns have been addressed, and even if it's not going to be the perfect Superman movie, it's probably going to be good enough of a movie that I am going to enjoy it, and I am going to want to watch it in a 3D IMAX situation. That's one of the ones, because if it's got an epic appeal to it, then I will spend the money to see it. But if I do, that's $30 for a movie theater, plus snacks or dinner out somewhere or something like that. I'm not spending all that money to take someone to see this movie. Cars coming. It's okay, I'm on a medium. I'm not going to spend that kind of money to see a movie theater, a movie in a cinematic theater, so that someone's going to be sitting right next to me on their phone texting the whole time. No, I will go see it by myself. before I see it with someone who does that. Okay, hang on. I'm not quite sure what happened down here or what is about to happen down here. These people watching some sort of basketball on a screen or something. I don't know. I don't always everything that goes on. There's always something going on in Shreveport. But whatever it is, it's closed down. But yeah, I don't know. There are booths set up and everything. I don't know. Did I already say something what it was? I don't know. Was it a... I don't know. Maybe it was maybe it was the Mudbug Madness, but I thought that had already come and gone. I knew I wasn't going to that one this year, but I don't know. I'll look into it. I'll talk about it later in another video or something. I don't know. But Saturday morning, farmers market. I love market here. Usually takes place somewhere around here, and it's great under this pavilion here, and it's fun. They do I mean, people come around, they do, I don't know, I love it. One of the things is there is my favorite soap is this pepperminty minty goat milk soap that one of the people they make down here, and I cannot find that anywhere. It's kind of a soft soap, and they always caution me, hey, we just made these, and if you leave it out, you know, it'll firm up more and it'll last longer. You know what? I love the softness of that goat milk soap. I love the mintiness of it. I love the fact that she's like, yeah, if you know, leave it out before you use it, it'll last longer. And it's like, you know what? That's fine, but eventually it's going to get wet anyway. So no matter how dry it gets, it's eventually going to get wet. I'm not going to obsess over it. And then, of course, right around here is where they have like the food trucks and the hot food vendors. So if I can't get out Saturday morning to a meeting or anything like that, I know I can always wake up and come over here and do the farmers market. So that's always fun. And I've been going there for a few years, and you know, I'm a yearly regular at these things, and I have my favorite vendors. They know me at least by face. I mean, you don't forget this fucking face. And so, and then, of course, I don't forget theirs. And yeah, there's a comfort. I get it. There's, you know, being a creature of habit, I used to think was kind of a boring thing. People would use that term creature of habit, and I'm like, oh no, I want new experiences. I do want new experiences. I do want to have fun. I do want to get out and do all sorts of things. However, being secure enough to be in one spot, and you know, you start getting recognized by people year after year, different places that you go and everything, and you get a reputation. You know, people like you, people think you weird, whatever it is. But whatever it is, I mean, there's some stability that comes along with getting someplace and setting some freaking roots down. And it just makes sense that my roots happen in Shreveport, because that's where most of my family are, and there's a huge family. Most of them I don't get to see very often. Some of them I do see, and I'm very close with. But I've got friends here who are chosen family also, and it makes sense because I was talking to someone, I think it was Mike, and because I made him the painting. I've talked about the painting, and when he got it, he's like, it kind of reminds me of some place where I've been before. And then I said to him, well, we were raised in the same geographic location. We're both from Northwest Louisiana. It makes sense that our subconscious would recall some of the landscape, and the naturescapes, and they would be similar. If a little different from the way that we would interpret it, but there would be a familiarity in the artwork that I do to someone who has a similar upbringing. So it's like, oh well, let me cross. I wanted to come over and check out the river. I'm sweaty. I started out not being so sweaty. Then you walk, you get a little sweaty, right? Yeah, about 30 minutes into this. I'm going to start this way. Like each time I come here, which way do I want to stroll? I want to stroll this way because I think I can catch walking through these trees. If I look at the ground a little more, there's a path. I can kind of come this way, come through the trees and come out the other side where this platform intersects and joins, and the path kind of comes to the side of the platform through these trees and joins right on that riverfront, and I can walk right through there. But if I walk back up here, it's going to take me up to this platform. There are so many different this is not a very huge park. However, it's got many different what's the word that I'm looking for? Oh, it's not a huge park, but it's got many different points of interest within a small space. It's got many different features, I should say. And there are places to walk slowly and sit. And if you want an extra sense of mystery as you're walking about, put on some dark shades and come out here at night. I'm nearly blind. I was hanging out with a friend of mine, the one that we're going to take the cruise with in September and October. I'm taking a cruise at the end of September going into October. And he was like, are you excited about the cruise? And I'm like, yes. And of course, I'll be doing some house sitting for him in the next week. So I'll do some videos from a different part of Northwest Louisiana. Okay. I don't want to walk all the way down there, so I'm just going to step down these little platforms. Ready for the jump. When I was like a little boy, that would have been like Wonder Woman, because I was really big into Wonder Woman, 5, 6 years old or whatever. I was always jumping off of chairs and things. I probably would have been into Superman. We didn't have a live action Superman show. We had Wonder Woman. The Hulk was scary. And Spider-Man was kind of lame. That's because the TV movies that they did in the 70s, they did 1 or 2 TV movies or whatever, and it spun off into a 1 season of The Amazing Spider-Man, but it was inspired by a kids show called The Electric Company. They had the Spider-Man spots. It was the first live-action Spider-Man was on The Electric Company. And he would come across and he would do like little adventures, and it would always be like the villains were always like criminals who were breaking the laws of grammar, or whatever. So, and of course, it was narrated primarily by, oh my God, who's our favorite narrator today? Oh my God, what is his name? Not Samuel Jackson, the other guy. Well, you know who I'm talking about. We'll think of it. Anyway, it'll come to me. I'm gonna stop thinking about it now, and then later on it'll come to me. But I know that we all know what we're talking about. What a lovely, see, I don't know, I get that camera work does like weird things to a face and everything, and you hold it up like this, you look kind of like Lord Fuckwai from Shrek. Your head's huge and your feet are little and all that. And that's what that shot of Superman taking off to flight looked like. I feel like just for a little bit, maybe he went a little bit too far back because he wanted this to look like a comic strip, the comic books, but I was a teenager. Well, actually, I was a preteen. I was reading comic books from like 9-10 years old, whatever. As soon as I could get my hands on them, I was reading them. So they didn't placate to children. Even then, they didn't. The readers, some of the stories were serious, and the stakes were. It wasn't just somebody doing a write-up. The stakes were life and death. Batman is Batman because his parents were gunned down right in front of him as a child. That's not kid stuff, Clark Kent, Superman, Kal-El, his entire planet blew up. He's basically an orphan because his whole life, And so, not to mention he's an alien, so that's coming to a place that you're not familiar with, and maybe you look the same, but you are different, and it's obvious, and he gets to deal with that. And it's kind of like having to hide your true nature, much as the way you say a lot of immigrants have come to America, and they had to give up a lot of what they had learned in their home culture to assimilate into what's supposed to be a smelting pot of this United States that we say we welcome all, but as soon as you get here, we're like, you're welcome, now stop being yourself and start being like us. So want to kill everything that's interesting about foreign culture, or appropriate it instead of celebrate it. But never mind that. Check out this bridge. I like looking at the bridge. I didn't mean to get all like, but that's what happened. That's what a lot of people have to deal with. And Superman is a story of the immigrant experience. Okay, so I'm so excited for that movie. I'm just a big geek. Oh, GeekCon coming up. Okay, Ernie Reyes Jr. I'm excited for meeting him again. I met him in 1988 in Florida. He will not remember because he was a child around my age or whatever, and he was a child actor, and his thing was he was to stand and shake hands with people as we walked on by. I mean, we didn't even have, it wasn't even a hello, it was a handshake and a nod, and he was just to receive. And Chuck Norris was there also, and Chuck Norris was fresh off of a movie called Hero and the Terror, which was a sequel to one of his earlier movies. And it's like, it's kind of an action blend with a horror element. It was more action, but the horror element. And I really feel like, I always would have loved, really would have loved to see that as more of a horror movie. Really. The only person, there are two people who have been able to transcend, and both of them female. No, three. No, two. I was going to say Linda Hamilton from Terminator, but that really was an action flick. It was just a dark action flick. But to be able to transcend horror and turn horror into action, Sigourney Weaver and Jamie Lee Curtis. Because after her turn in some action films in the 1990s, even when she started to revisit horror, she was not going. What you wanted to see from Jamie Lee Curtis was not her running away from a killer. because we already knew Jamie Lee Curtis was a bona fide ass kicker, and you can't go back from being a badass. You cannot not be a badass, even in a horror movie. So, Halloween, H2O, even Halloween Resurrection for the part where they were supposed to kill her, and then of course they came back and they did an entire trilogy where they realized, oh hey, those other movies were just kind of based on lore, but you know, Laurie Strode wasn't even really Michael Myers' sister. That was just, blah blah blah. But anyway, whatever. I think that those trilogy movies, and I can say this, I think there was a lot of hate for them because they weren't identical and they weren't specific sequels, and they didn't have the exact same tone as Halloween, the first Halloween, or Halloween 2 or anything like that. And the fact is, 40 years later, we've all evolved and we've all changed, those of us who were alive. So the look and the feel of the franchise is going to be different, so yeah. And then there was like I've heard people, well, Michael Myers would be too old. He was only like a couple of years older than Laurie Strode, and Laurie Strode kicked ass in that movie. All three of the Legacy sequels. There was an homage because you had Halloween by title was linked to the first Halloween. It was just by title alone was homage. Then you had the second one, and it did take place with Laurie Strode being in the hospital. There was a specific homage to Halloween 2. And then Halloween 3, the primary killer was not Michael Myers, even though he was in the movie. It was the events, taking place to set. I mean, it was kind of sad because you kind of watch the making of a serial killer, a young man who was not, he was a babysitter, had an accident with the boy that he was babysitting because he got spooked, and then his life was ruined from that point on, and it did not get better with the involvement of the Strodes, and so but that was specifically, and even by title font and everything, was a nod to Halloween 3. And I think a modern audience, and those are the ones who mostly were going to go see that. I'm talking a lot. If that means I'm about to wrap up this video, rush home so I can have some moisture, some water, a drink to parch my throat. But yeah, I'll just finish my thoughts real quick on this. Yeah, so Laurie Strode, they wanted to see the return to the format of Halloween. Well, Michael's kills were a lot more brutal in the sequel. Oh, the people over here, they snuck up on me. So they were a lot more brutal in the sequels. So I think people just wanted a return to form. The same producers were going to try to do a Legacy Exorcist sequel. While I loved seeing Ellen Burstyn and a cameo by Linda Blair in Exorcist Believer, I think it's okay to say that was kind of a mediocre movie. It was all right. It was better than some other entries within the franchise. It was certainly better than the 2 prequel movies. However, it was trying to placate too much. Yeah. there is nothing wrong with telling a exorcism movie, an exorcism story, from a Catholic point of view. Exorcism, the word as it is Roman Catholic. That's that. And some of the offshoots of that. And so, yeah, it happens in other forms of Christianity and even in non-Christianity, but it's not necessarily called exorcism. We didn't, growing up in a fundamental Baptist thing, and then later on, some of my people transitioned to evangelical worship. They were casting away spirits all the time, but they did not call it exorcism. So, that you don't have to take this whole exorcism but whatever. It's a little like I said, that movie, and I get what they wanted to do. They wanted to be a little bit all inclusive and wanted to be socially correct, and they wouldn't let the dog. And these were not two little girls in that movie, in the Exorcist Believer movie. They were not shy young girls who don't get out and participate in the world. They were in a modern world, and they're not innocent in the way that Linda Blair's Reagan was innocent at 11, turning 12 years old. These were girls maybe 12, 13 years old, but they were of modern times, and they had so yes, a little bit of innocence in that movie, but not to the degree of, what's happening with this character is his personality has changed so much that there has to be a demon involved, because that's what the thing about Reagan was in the first movie. She was such a shy person away from home that even the pictures that she took, she would cover her smile up. She was really shy and reserved, and it explores that even more in the book, that her quiet nature, her little that she would not in any way, shape, or form, even with the onset of puberty, which is the subtext, by the way, of The Exorcist. It's not about, they don't really talk about it because it's subtext. Stephen King talks about it in his work of Danse Macabre, which is a nonfiction exploration of horror fiction. The subtext, what it really means, and what this really is what the lack of control parents feel when their children hit adolescence and into puberty and start acting out, and oh my god, that's really what it is. That's the subtext of it. It also gets explored in a song by Poison, "You Are the Only Hell Your Mother Ever Raised," to a much lesser degree, but that's neither here nor there. The name of the boy that the story was based on, the reason why he never revealed who he was, and he always asked not to be revealed. As it turns out, he was on a trajectory to work for NASA, and he did. He was a basic rocket scientist, helping to form the shape of space exploration or whatever. And his name is known now, even though it's not on the top of my forehead, the top of my forehead, the forefront of my brain. But neither is that guy who narrated Spider-Man and the Electric Company. Morgan Freeman, though, but there it is. I knew it would just pop in. That's how it works. Have to sometimes let it go and then it'll come back. But anyway, yeah, I don't remember the dude's name, but he was Roland Doe in a lot of the stuff, or sometimes just named R, for short. And that was just one of his names, Roland. It was and he was named a few things at various different, always with an R though. And that's why Reagan may be in the book. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. But it was just as a respect for his privacy. But he said, he wasn't really possessed. He was He was a bad boy at the time. He was a boy. He was just acting out and maybe needed some attention and blah, blah, blah. And it was a more superstitious time in the 1940s, and things just kind of took on a blah, blah, blah and this and that and whatever. And of course, once you start getting the attention, then, you know, and so, yeah, basically in another situation, a proper psychologist would have sat him down, maybe smacked the shit out of him and told him to cut that shit out, you know, a little bit, you know. But yeah, that 14-year-old boy, he was troubled. You know, his aunt did die, he probably missed her, and blah, 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 blah. But then also knockings and rappings in the house and stuff like that. And he was probably a prankster, and one thing led to another, and it really didn't, you know, to hear his side of it, it was, you know, no, he was just basically a boy acting out and blah, 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 you know. And they were just, yeah, whatever. So, but who knows? What's interesting, he was around Georgetown in Washington, and then they moved to St. Louis, Missouri. And of course, the person who played Linda Blair, the person who played Reagan, Linda Blair, was born in St. Louis, Missouri, then moved to Connecticut. So there, you know, there are all sorts of weird little pattern connections or whatever. But I can do that. You've heard me talk for almost an hour here. How I can start talking about one thing and then run with it, you know. Okay, I'm gonna talk for a little bit as I walk on. Maybe when I get a little into downtown, I'll end the video. My throat seems to have settled down and has gotten moist enough that I'm not dry. Whatever. Okay. Coming out doing the walk. It's really good when I cannot get to a gym and I cannot do the exercise that I want to do. I want to come out and walk, and I'm sweaty as fuck right now. If you're going to do any sort of walking, it's recommended, if you're able to walk at least 30 minutes a day. That's what doctors tell me. And also, it's just recommended that when you do a workout and everything, you do break a little bit of a sweat, you know. If it's easy, if it's nothing, something is better than nothing. But if you're healthy enough for some exercise, put some sweat into it. I'm a layperson. I have no physical training whatsoever. But yeah, when you do, I had to break it. There were the same people that passed me by, and so I don't want to catch them on film anymore in a close-up than I did. But yeah, you got to come out. You got to do your physical activity and break a sweat. You know, if you go to the gym and do a workout, break a sweat, push yourself a little bit. You know, always, if it's possible, consult with physical fitness experts, medical people, especially if you're older like I am. You know, you want to make sure that you kind of keep up with the exercise, that your body's healthy enough for it. And yeah, but I can tell you, as someone who was thin and then I put on some weight and then I had to take the weight off, I can tell you it is much easier to keep it off than it is to take it off. Words to live by, bro. I have to be a little careful. I hear other voices. I don't see them. I know they're here. Now I know I heard voices coming from this direction. I followed it. And I walked over here and they're not here. So they're ghosts. Oh wait, no, there's people over there. Okay, it's like I couldn't see them. So weird. Because that's why I walked over. It's like I heard the voices, but I didn't see the people. And then I just looked over and then I did see them. I was like, cool. But also, something else, in this world, a good way to survive the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows, and to kind of stay afloat and get where you're going and everything, a good way to get past that. I think this is a rabbit or something. I want to kind of stay back. I don't want to run it off. That is so cool. Isn't that awesome? I don't want to walk over to it and disturb it. It's so cool. Anyway, a good way to get by in this world is to basically mind your own fucking business. It's one thing to be a little curious. It is another thing to just be straight up fucking nosy. And that's what I do. If I find myself just kind of being a little bit more than curious, I definitely want to give the average person their space. Oh, those voices or whatever. Chase the rabbit off. Okay. Definitely want to give the average person their space. It's around this point, I want to say it's maybe about, I'm just going to guess, because I left the apartment about 9:30ish, 9:45ish. So it's probably close to 11, a little after 11. That riverfront attracts a lot of people who just want to come out and basically, in their couples, they're walking around, they're having like their little moments. They don't want people coming up and fucking with them. So give people space. It's big enough, people can do their own space. But yeah, people enjoy coming out looking at the river. It's very scenic, very romantic. They've cleaned off a lot. This used to be some shrubbery. All that used to be way back here. So that's kind of cool. So now we can come and we can kind of stand on the greenery a little bit and see what's going on. That rabbit was cool though. That was neat. I'm so glad I saw that. There's a lot of wildlife down here in Louisiana, and that's even in the city. We have a rabbit running loose. My hair's frizzy as fuck now. So this one beam here looks like it might be one section. Looks like it might be in need of some repair, but then I'm looking at the other side and I'm seeing a very similar pattern on the other end across the so yep. But anyway, for the most part, I really enjoy want to see. What happens with this little section? Is it out? Is it not out? No, there it goes. But it's an animated. The lights, they replicate, animation, and different patterns and everything. It's really kind of cool. Yeah, I've talked about that several times over the last few years. I've been down here, like, yay. Okay, so I love my city. I think about what can I do to make my city and the surrounding towns a little bit better. And what I've decided was the best thing I can do is walk around and talk about my love of the city. And I want to share it with other people as they come through and they visit and everything. Because it's really fun. Even as I love to travel and see other people's towns and cities, And I feel like everybody should be very proud of their home, where they live, whatever, or should be working to do what they can civically to contribute to make the place where they live the place that they want to live. And I also think if for some reason you do not feel that you can find yourself at home where you live, maybe you should go to where you really want to be. Life is too short to not try to be the, try to live the best life that you can live. Life is too short to live with that type of regret. And today, in our very technical world, where we can FaceTime, Facebook, YouTube like I do, anything, we don't have to lose track of people because we move cross country or anything like that. So, yeah, follow your heart, follow your dreams, be the best you can be, and contribute to humankind and society the best you can, and go to where your civic duties are going to serve best, for you and whomever. Party going on under here. And it's only a Thursday. Was opening. I'd forgotten about it. I passed through here some few weeks ago when I saw the G-Spot and knew that it was going to open. It used to be a coffee shop where they had like a beat poetry or slam poetry, not beat poetry. And yeah, so it's kind of turned into something that's kind of cool. So awesome. The G-Spot, funny because it's true. Thursday night, and that's a happening little spot. Let's see what's happening as we come out from beneath this bridge, as we get a little closer now. I've only got about 3% left in my phone. So in a moment this video is going to end, whether I want it to or not. But I kind of want to get up there and see. I'm hoping it's good. We have a lot of fun things to do for people who love the nightlife, I love the nightlife, and I love to boogie. I like to dance. Still in my age, I like to dance. I thought it's one of the casualties of a social media experience is that people relate so remotely that they don't always relate face to face, and they don't always dance, not as much as they used to. Like, for instance, there's a club that I go to sometimes. I'm not a big drinker. I'm not a drinker at all, really. Coke Zeros, that's coffee, is about as wild as it gets for me. But they do a floor show, and it takes up about 2.5 hours of the night for them to do the floor show on the most active nights. It's because they're trying to do, floor show, drag show, whatever, for tips or something like that. But basically, where they do it takes up the entire freaking dance floor. So there's no dancing that goes on in the most primary. So it's like, I don't really go out anymore, because if I can't dance at a dance club because there's a floor show going on, I don't know. I don't know. If I can't dance because there's a floor show going on, I don't really need to go out. And the floor show starts at midnight and goes on till about 2:30 or something like that, or whatever. And that's like prime dancing time. So yeah, if it exists, so that these the drag show can get tips, it's kind of screwing the club up. Like, get in there and do it, maybe for an hour, but if you have to take up 2.5, sometimes a little more than that, it's like No. It's like, no. So, anyway, I am about to die. So it is quiet here. This, the G Spot's going, but these clubs, maybe they're already inside. But on the weekends they get busy. Clubs thumping them and stuff. But yeah, sometimes there's lines around the corner and stuff. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and say to everybody my goodbyes for this video. I'm about to close it out. I want to say love and light. And I want to let you know that I have walked around this entire town and had not really been approached at all, because this is a very safe city. You know, there's a lot of, oh my God, you know, shootings that happen, and they're like, oh my God. Those things happen in some of that, you know, the gun violence and stuff that we hear about happens in areas of town where there are pockets of poverty, generationally so, and they have been concentrated, and that kind of friction feeds upon itself. And those, you know, if you really want to end gun violence in America, I don't know that we'll ever totally end it because we're passionate people, but you got to get into these neighborhoods where you have people living, even in this desegregated country that we're supposed to be in. There are pockets of poverty, generationally impoverished people, and it's gone on for generation, and sometimes they never really leave the few blocks that are around their neighborhoods, you know, because, you know, well, we got to get in there and we have to disperse that and stop creating these pockets of poverty. Stop enduring these pockets of poverty. You know, go in, create opportunity for education, create, you know, for quality education and for quality of life, you know, and basically don't have people living in squalor and houses that are falling down and everything like that. Get in there and do what we can do as a nation. And I'm not talking politics, I'm not even talking policy or anything like that. I'm just saying, when we have problems with gun violence and other types of violence and high crime, that is symptomatic of an illness within the society, not necessarily the individual that's perpetrating the crime. We have to look within ourselves. There's always exceptions. There are always those who are going to be criminal. There are always going to be criminal elements. People, you know, there's always going to be that. But for the most part, we create in our society our own criminals by putting up barriers or not providing proper pathways to the betterment of the individual self. You know, so yeah, cannot blame the actions that I take or that we take. We can't blame that on everybody. But if you are in a situation where that's all you see and that's all that you know, and that's your great big exposure, and so what happens is you leave in school early, dropping out of school, because the generations before you did not learn the importance of an education. And so we, you know what I'm saying? It's these the bad elements of society get handed down generation through generation through generation, and even by now, even if it's consequential of things that we have no control over, like past racism, that we're trying to eschew and get over that now. But there's the consequences of that past racism, where these issues are heavily drawn along racial lines. Oh well. Well, not oh well. What are we going to do to really address it? Got to get in there. Got to give people opportunity. Got to give people option. Got to give people choice. Got to let them know that that they aren't alone. That they aren't sequestered in a 4-block radius or whatever. And anyway, a lot of that stuff, it doesn't really happen. I have walked around this entire downtown area and have been pretty much left alone, as I always am, because I mind my own business, right? So, live and let live. I don't know that my solution is going to solve everything, but I do know that my solution would solve a lot. It's not enough to throw some SNAP benefits at somebody. It's not enough to throw some welfare at somebody. You gotta take this poverty that everybody is in one particular group. You got to take some outreach to those areas and let them. And then, by the way, let them know, hey, if you want to, there's a whole big, great world that you can step out into, And so through community renewal, and also, just try to. It's not just in the American South. That happens everywhere. It happens. You can go in any major metropolitan city, in the north, in the northwest, northeast, all the way, in any of those places, and you're gonna see where you have these really poor neighborhoods that get no community renewal to speak of, except for maybe every 70 years when the houses that are there are falling down and there's no other option. Then you'll see something, but it's no wonder. It's no wonder. We need to listen to each other. Need to provide what we can to help each other, lift each other up. Really need to work towards that equality that we talk about. And I'm not talking politics. I'm talking humanity. Okay, now, God bless, love and light, peace. Good night.